Hello and welcome to our video. Our plan over the next month or two is to do a series of guides for you on operative healing. My name's Norman/Jim, this is Anixia and we're both from Deal With It Guild. Say hello Anixia.
Yeah, hi guys.
The plan is to do a series of videos to guide you through the basics of operative healing. Before we start, we are not the best healers around, however we do alright. Both of us seem to do the highest heals when we go to war zones. There are some exceptions. Just want to clarify that before we begin, so you don't think we're too pro for you. The second thing we're going to do over the next few months is going to be, first of all, the talent tree episode, which is today, where we're going to discuss the in our opinion, the optimum skill tree you can use. Second time is going to be stat priorities, which at the moment is a bit cloudy because obviously we had 2.0, so that'll be an episode. Next after that is basic healing rotations, which is pretty obvious. It's basic healing rotations. So, what heals do you use when? Do you ever use the AoE heals? Do you always use your probes? That's what that episode's going to be about. After basic healing, we're going to do map by map. So we've got Voidstar, Civil War, Ancient Hypergates, and Hut Ball, and Nevere Coast. So we're going to go through different tactics you can use to heal on those war zones, how not to get completely owned and destroyed, which might help you a bit when healing in war zones. Number 5 is working with a tank. Tanks are a godsend to us healers. They really are useful because they reduce damage by 50% when you're near them within 30 meters. So we're going to talk about how to heal a tank, how not to get destroyed, and how to generally maximize your performance when you've got a tank with you. If you can get a tank, I advise you get one now because they literally double your healing, I would say, in a war zone. Number 6 is ranked war zones. At the moment our guild is building a ranked war zone team, so by the time we get there we should have had some experience in healing in ranked war zones. So when that time comes we'll be doing an episode on that, which we think will be quite good. And finally we'll do a conclusion episode which should bring together everything you've learned over the last 7 episodes, and hopefully by the end you'll be able to be a decent-ish operative healer. And that's the introduction. Before we do begin though, we're going to presume you're retarded, that you are completely and utterly clueless in everything to do with operative healing. So we will treat you a bit like you're a child, but don't be offended. It's just to make sure you know everything you need to know. So now I'm going to go through the skill tree. Okay, here's the skill tree. We've got the operative. We've got 3 different trees. We've got medicine, concealment, and lethality. Obviously, we want to go for medicine. It's kind of obvious. So we're going to go through the different stages in the healing tree. As you can see on my skill tree, I've got 36 in the medicine tree, 3 in concealment, and 7 in lethality. In medicine, I've got Imperial Education, which increases your total cunning by 9%. That's your main stat, so every time you increase your cunning, you should see a difference in your heals. So the more cunning you've got, the higher your heals should be. That's the theory anyway. Okay, so I've skipped out precision instruments because I think I prefer to have skill points in other areas because it's only decreasing the energy by 4, which I don't think is that much of a difference. In incisive action, I've put 2. It's pretty obvious why. It reduces the activation time of your call to injection and infusion by 0.5 seconds and gives call to injection a 100% chance to grant tactical advantage. This is basically, you get this at level, you start getting this at level between levels 10 and 15. So this is what's going to turn you into a healer rather than a DPS or any other type of class. So you definitely want that. Tactical advantage is something we'll discuss later on in the video because it is the bread and butter of operative healing. Without it we would be nowhere. We would just be shooting people and trying to heal with our main heals, but wouldn't be doing very well at all. That's the first row done. Next we're going to go up to the next row and we'll go through to chem resistant inlays. As you can see, it increases damage reduction by 4%. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it does make a difference if you're being hit for 900k damage in a war zone, which does happen every so often. Next we've got surgical steadiness, which reduces the pushback suffered while activating healing abilities by 70% and reduces threat by heals by 10%. The threat we don't really need to worry about because we do PvP, not PvE, but we're going to go into the pushback when you're doing healing abilities. Pushback is basically when you get hit, your abilities will take a knock in its cast time, so the more you can reduce other people affecting your cast times, the better. So in that skill, basically when you're doing a heal, if someone hits you, you won't notice as much because you've got that skill. Next along we've got Medical Consultant, which increases all healing dealt by 3% at all times. And when you've got Tactical Advantage, it goes to 6%. So as you can see, Tactical Advantage is already becoming very, very important in our healing. Next is Endorphin Rush, which allows Adrenaline Probe, which is the skill here, to restore 16 additional energy. Energy is what keeps us going, it's our fuel. The more we've got, the better, and the more healing we can put out. Next up is Prognosis Critical, which I've put 2 points in. It increases the critical chance of Diagnostic Scan by 24%, which is quite a lot. Next along, we've got Colto Probe. This is a major part of our rotation, which we'll get to on the next episode. Basically, when you use Colto Probe, it stacks 2 times and is a heal over time, a hot. So over 18 seconds, it will heal 3,335 in my case, and also it grants Tactical Advantage, which we'll see later up the tree. Okay, next up I'm going to go to Patient Studies, which links to Prognosis Critical. Every time you use Diagnostic Scan and it crits, it will restore 2 energy, and it also speeds up Diagnostic Scan by 30%. So if you're ever short of energy, which you will be if you're doing intense healing in a war zone, you might find you need to fill out with a Diagnostic Scan. When you've got this skill implemented on your skill tree, you'll find that when you use Diagnostic Scan and it crits, your energy goes up, which is really, really, really useful, because without it you'll be restoring energy at a natural rate, which is very slow. So if you do this, you can speedily increase your energy back up to full, so you can start healing with your major heals again. Next along, we've got Medical Engineering, which means that every tick of Colto Probe, Cold Infusion, and Recuperative Nanotech has a 30% chance to grant Tactical Advantage. Which Tactical Advantage, as you saw before, it increases your heals by 3% above the ability we've already used. So the more times we can get Tactical Advantage, the better. Next up, we'll get up to the top eventually. We've got Tox Screen, which means your Toxic Scan now removes negative mental effects. So when you find yourself under the influence of dots and other horrible things, if you use Toxic Scan, it will now remove those effects and also heal you or your target for 329 to 1,000 damage. It's not that much, but it makes a difference every so often. Medical Therapy. It increases the healing dealt by your periodic effects by 10% and Surgical Probe by 6%. AoE Heal is Recuperative Nanotech, so this ability here increases the healing by 10%, which is very useful. Surgical Probe is what we've already been down, which goes up to the next step, which I'll explain in a minute. Okay, here's Surgical Probe. Basically, whenever you've got Tactical Advantage, you can use Surgical Probe, which is a smallish heal, but it's free. It costs no energy, so whenever you've got Tactical Advantage, use it. You may as well. Okay, next along we've got Surgical Precision, which increases the healing dealt by Surgical Probe by 15% and increases the maximum amount of Tactical Advantage by 1, so you can get 3. And also Surgical Probe will immediately re-grant Tactical Advantage when you use it on a target below 30%. Basically this means if the target you're healing is being attacked a lot and it goes below 30%, whenever the target's below 30% from now on, as long as you've got Tactical Advantage, you can keep spamming this Surgical Probe. So you can literally run around spamming Surgical Probe, keeping the guy alive. It is brilliant. In a war zone, you can follow your tank. You can keep spamming the Surgical Probe. It's completely free again, so it's brilliant. So I would advise when you get that skill, you use it as much as possible. So another little quick note. This means that if you can always keep 1 stack of Tactical Advantage, you can always jump to someone in need quickly. Accomplished Doctor. Increase the critical healing of Colto Injection by 30% and Infusion and Recuperative Nanotech. So but when your heals crit, this skill will increase that critical by 30%, so you'll get even higher heals. Durable Meds. I've put 3 in there again. Increase the healing dealt by Colto Probe, Recuperative Nanotech by 9%, and also increases the duration of our AoE by 3 seconds and reduces the energy cost of Probe by 6. As you can see from all these other skills we used, we've started to get quite a big boost to our healing. So the higher you go, the higher boost you're going to get when you're healing. So you have to have this, otherwise you won't be able to get to the top. Next along is a new ability for 2.0. Is whenever you exit stealth, you'll automatically be given 2 stacks of Tactical Advantage. So no more will you have to spam Colto Probe at the start of a match. You can immediately go into stealth, come out of stealth, and be ready to go. At the very top is our AoE heal, which is a heal of 4,560 for 9 seconds to up to 4 allies within 10 meters of that target. So it's not like the salvation from a sage. It's you click on the target you want to heal, and it will heal all targets, well, all 4 targets within 10 minutes with 10 meters by that much. That's my medicine tree. That's the what I've used. I do pretty good, and there are options which Anixia will discuss in a minute. But I want to pass over to him now to talk about concealment and lethality options. So I'll let him do that now.
Hi guys, right, as you heard from Norman, you've now got the medical tree done. Now we'll go into concealment. Here, the only one you want to do is use your survival training. Here, it increases your healing done by 3% and all heals received by 3%. This is obviously quite self-explanatory. It will buff all your heals you do by 3%, and if you're getting attacked and you heal yourself or someone else heals you, the heals you get will go up by 3% as well. And that will be it for concealment. Next we will move on to lethality. Here I missed out the deadly directive and put 3 into the lethality. This increases your ranged and crit chance by 3%. This is very handy because it means if you get a crit on your heal, it can boost it. For instance, if your normal heal was 4,000, if you get a crit, it can go up to anything about 8,000 depending on your gear. Next is hit and run. This, when you strike an enemy with Shiv, it grants an ability called hit and run. This increases your movement by 50% for 2 seconds. This can be very handy. Let's say for instance you're being attacked by a marauder or a juggernaut, because it means you can hit them and then run away quicker than they can run up to you. So then you can run away, heal up quicker before they come back and start hitting you. Next, on the next level, we've put 2 in slip away. This reduces your cooldown of debilitate by 15 seconds. Your debilitate moves will stun the enemy. It stuns them for 4 seconds and normally has a rather large cooldown, but this one it will reduce it, so it means you can use it more often. So if you're getting focused quite a bit in a war zone, which you unfortunately you do get as a healer, it means you have more of a survivability chance because you can stun them and run away, heal up. Right, now I'm going to talk about the variations that some people use. Like for instance, on my medicine tree, I've only put 1 in evasive imperative where Norman put 0. And on the penultimate step for surgical surprise, when Norman was telling you about a tactical advantage when you exit stealth, I put 1 in that. The reason I done this is because in evasive imperative it can reduce your cooldown of your evasive skill, which is one which will reduce damage to you. It reduces it by 1.5 seconds sometimes when you get hit, and this obviously cannot occur more than 1 time every 1.5 seconds. So that's also very good for survivability. But as I've taken 1 out of surgical surprise, it is advisable when you start a round just to put an extra probe on somebody, just so you can get that 1 more tactical advantage before you go and enter combat. And back over to the lethality tree. This will be different for some people because it's what they prefer. It's what me and Norman prefer, it's what we've already gone through. But some people will take 2 out of hit and run and put it into your deadly directive, which will increase your alacrity by 2% when it's maxed out. For a variation of the lethality tree, some people will take 2 out of slipway for instance and put it into deadly directive. There we go. They are all the variations and the trees that me and Norman prefer for our healing. Now I want to go over tactical advantage very quickly for some people who didn't know what it was to begin with. Now I'm going to quickly show you what tactical advantage is. It is this symbol here, the one with half the face, I don't know why, but this is very useful because it enables you to use some skills like your surgical probe and your Colto infusion, which me and Norman will go over in a later video for these 2 skills. There you have it. That is mine and Norman's trees for healing. We hoped you helped with this, and of course some people will give you slight variations to these tree because for lethality and concealment, or mainly lethality, some people have slight different variations of it depending on their playstyle and what they prefer. There we go, guys. I'm going to say goodbye now.
Bye, love you all. I would sparkle you, but I can't because I'm on game and I don't even know who you are, so the thought was there. But thanks for watching.